Hey, it's Buck. Welcome to Bacon Trees, or welcome back to Bacon Trees. Thank you for stopping by. I'm going to discuss dash cameras for cars, specifically two. I was going to do a review on the Kaiser-Baas R25 last year, but I ended up leasing a new vehicle. We ended up leasing a new vehicle, and I took the camera out of the vehicle and I put it somewhere. So basically I lost it. Anyway, I'm comparing the R25 by Kaiser-Baas with the Apexcam Car Dash Cam Tour 3. So I'll do like simultaneous reviews. They're both decent cameras. With the Kaiser-Baas coming in at around $100, I got that at the shopping channel or today's shopping choice or whatever they want to be called. And I got the Apex off of Amazon. The R25 was around $100. The Apexcam was $50. So I didn't want to replace it with another $100 camera because I just need a decent camera, and I read the reviews of the Apexcam. They were favorable overall, so I decided to buy it. And it's not bad, but I'm going to go through a few things comparing the two cameras, but very specific things. So what I've done is found some of the footage I did with the Kaiser-Baas R25. I'll just call it the R25 from now on. I got a lot of footage on my computer, and I found roads and areas in Toronto where I live that I had driven on before, and I basically took the Apexcam out and did a bunch of testing on the same road. So I have side-by-side comparisons. And if this review or comparison helps you in any way, please click the like button. I would greatly appreciate that as I try to grow my channel and get some great content out there. But I'm going to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different features, or sorry, 11 different criteria for the cameras to compare them properly. Number one is contrast. The R25 doesn't have a lot of contrast, although it has an overall good image quality, and the Apex camera does have a lot of contrast. That can be a negative thing sometimes and a positive thing. It can make it look more cinematic, and at the same time it can blow out the highlights of a sky compared to what's in front of you when you're driving. So the Apex camera, I prefer the contrast in most situations. Stabilization. The R25 seems just a little bit less stable than the Apex camera. So for stabilization, I give the check mark to the Apex over the R25. Although the stabilization on the R25 is not unfavorable, it's just a little more bouncy than the Apex camera. Okay, again, I mentioned the sky. The sky compared to what's in front of you. That's got to go to the R25 because the sky doesn't get blown out in the same way with the higher contrast of the Apex camera. The night driving, they're both really good at night. I was very surprised. And I was using the Apex camera on the -3 default setting. For some reason it was defaulted not to 0. It goes from 0 down to -3 and all the way up to +3 for exposure. It is automatic exposure, so I'm just trying a few settings. It was on -3 for the first try I did, and it wasn't bad outside. Actually, it looked pretty good because it is automatic exposure. So I still got to play with all the exposure settings, which I've started to do. But both of them look really good at night. Night focus, that's a different thing. Night focus. Okay, so we have the R25 being a little sharper in focus than the Apex camera at night. The day focus, they both seem pretty good, but at night specifically, the R25 beat out the Apex. Auto iris. The auto iris, I'm in favor of the R25 and not in favor of the Apex. The R25 has quicker auto iris. You don't even really notice it. It's kind of seamless. Where the auto iris on the Apex is a little more gradual. So if you're driving in the shade and then it gets bright, it's going to change It's a lot slower than the R25 I've found. Cinematic look. I give the check mark to the Apex camera for being cinematic because of the high contrast. If you have the right setting on the auto iris, and don't even get me started on auto iris versus the settings there, it seems way more cinematic. So if you're in it for the cinematography, Apex. And the R25 is really not that all that cinematic, but it is a good dash cam, and you know, so if you're not shooting anything cinematic, then you'd probably just go with the R25. The color, I find the Apex, because of the high contrast, again I keep mentioning the contrast, but it affects the image. I like the color better in the Apex. It looks richer than it does in the R25. The R25 seems to be a little flatter in the colors. Not a deal breaker, but you know, I guess if you wanted to do it like cinematography, you'd probably choose the Apex. I would have to give this camera a pretty solid 8 because it performs really well in the darkness. At night it just automatically changes, a really good image. And really, the point of this camera, the resolution is really good. The point of this camera is to pick up incidents on the road, not to make movies or how-to videos, which I'm kind of doing right now. What? Anyway, this is my sound test for this camera. This is the Apexcam 2 or 3. And I want to see how it sounds, and I want to test out whether or not those clicky sounds were a result of vibration or just a result of recording, because the car is not running right now. Well, just like the other camera, the Kaiser-Baas, the car wasn't running when I did the microphone test. As an overall dash camera, overall everything, I would give it to the R25 for sure. It's a better dash camera, although if you lose your R25 like I did, then the Apex is a great replacement for it at half the price, I gotta say. You can't go wrong for 50 bucks, really. It's a really decent camera. But if you gave me a choice between just simply being a dash camera and not a cinematography camera, I would choose the R25. The sound, they're both not very good at sound. And although the Apex actually has a technically better sound quality, at least my version of it, or my unit, the one I got, has some annoying clicky sounds that go on all the time, and I don't even know what it is. Then again, I did not buy the camera for the sound. It's handy to have it there for insurance purposes, but I didn't buy it for the sound, and it's annoying to listen to, so I don't know. So sometimes you get that. I'm going to try to find out what that clicky sound is. I haven't been able to figure it out, but it's literally in every video. There's one thing I found about the R25, and I don't know if it's a flaw of that particular line that was produced, but it kept shutting off every once in a while for no apparent reason. I haven't seen that yet in the Apex. Then again, I haven't used the Apex as long as I had used the R25. Anyway, so I recommend them both for being good cameras, depending on the features you're looking for of that particular camera. I hope this has helped. I'm going to post the previous review I did of the R25 because I talked about it a little more in the video that I shot last year, which I didn't get around to posting. Anyway, if this helped you at all, please click like and subscribe. That would really help me out. I'm not asking for money or donations or anything, just likes and subscribes, and thank you very much. Hey, it's Buck. I'm just doing a little follow-up on that Dashcam review I did, the comparison between the Kaiser-Baas R25 and the this guy here, the Apexcam 2 or 3. Right here, this little camera right here, which is great. I wanted to say, before you buy a Dashcam, do thorough research. So that's what I do. I buy a lot of electronics. I don't like to, you know, bust the bank on any of them, but I do thorough research as much as possible, find out the shortcomings, find out the benefits, you know, pros and cons. And overall, I really dig this camera. I think it's great. It's 50 bucks compared to the Kaiser-Baas, which was 100 bucks. And I mentioned all the pros and cons, but I didn't mention the mounting method. One important aspect is the mounting method. So for this one, this is the 2 or 3. The 2 or 3. It's got a suction cup, and it's been staying on there really, really well. So I haven't had to do much with it at all. So I just put it right up there, right up there. Oops, maybe up here. And just press down the lever and it's stuck, right? Not so with the Kaiser-Baas because it didn't come with a suction cup. It came with a sticky pad. And when we had to change vehicles, it was kind of challenging to take the thing off. I got it off, I got some goo gone, and I wiped the area, so I managed to get it off and not ruin the windshield, but I was a little worried about the windshield. You just have to be careful when removing it. So I think that's an advantage. The other thing I didn't mention about the, I don't know where the boxes are, this Tour 3 Apexcam comes with a rear. Well, this light is flickering. Forget it. It comes with a rear camera. You can hook up to it and wire it through your car to see out the back. I didn't bother with it, but I think for $50, coming with this quality of camera and the rear wired camera that's wired directly to this, I think that's a great deal. Anyway, like I said, I'm not using that back camera because I just want one in the front. If I ever think of a reason why I need one in the back, maybe I'll hook it up. So before you buy a dash camera, just make sure that it's got the look you want, it's got the usability you want, it's as stable as you want it to be, etc., etc. All the criteria I went through in the comparison video. How it's mounted, don't forget about how it's mounted. The only one thing that the Kaiser-Baas has over the Apex when it comes to mounting is that little mounting hook right there. Right there, I don't know if you can see it because there's not much light in here, but it's a little tight getting that on and off, where the Kaiser-Baas you can just pull it off pretty easy. So there's some pros and cons. That's all I'm going to say about the cameras. That's my follow-up video because I didn't mention that mounting is an important aspect of buying a camera, right? So if you're renting a vehicle and you want a dash cam, you probably don't want to have a sticky pad that's going to stick to the windshield. Anyway, for what it's worth, that's my follow-up to the video. Thank you. Please subscribe and like this, thumbs up if this has helped you in any way before you're going to buy a camera for your dash or a dash cam. Okay, cheers for that.